Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dreamcatcher podcast, a place where your dreams can find a voice. Financial abundance is something that most of us aspire to achieve. Whether you would like to grow your bank account, manifest an entrepreneurial dream, or travel the world, all of that requires you to be in a good place money-wise. My guest, Corin Grillo, has discovered a form of creative magic that is both accessible and effective in creating the financial flow that we desire. She's here to tell us how. Corin Grillo is a licensed psychotherapist, visionary leader, inspirational speaker, and proprietor of the Casa Condor Retreat Center in Mount Shasta, California. Corin offers online training in authentic spiritual leadership, nature immersions, intuitive healing arts, and in-person training. She has dedicated her life to sharing the life-changing gifts she received while learning to work with the angels. In this interview, Corin teaches us how to detox from self-defeating notions of lack, unworthiness, and shame. She shares simple practices, rituals, and everyday mindset shifts to feel happier and unlock our next level of wealth. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Thanks. Hi, Corin. How are you doing today?
Oh, so great. Thanks for having me, Celine.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on the show. I'm excited to talk about a topic that I find really interesting, and I assume a lot of our listeners do as well, and that is attracting more abundance using the power of ancient practices.
Yes. Yeah, I love it too. I love it
You
too.
obviously do.
I essentially love any system that's going to help us hack life and expedite our progress, especially during times like these.
Absolutely, it's very timely. I mean, your new book, Angel Wealth Magic, it's a really helpful guide on this topic. So it's going to be interesting to deconstruct some of what you wrote in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right, Curry. So let's start with learning a little bit about you. Tell us, how has your personal journey and your story, how has it motivated you to write this book?
Well, I would say I'll start with the fact that I am a psychotherapist, a licensed psychotherapist who had an angel encounter years ago that changed my life in radical ways. I witnessed a miracle. And with that miracle came the awareness that the spirit world was really very much alive, and that if that miracle was possible, then what else was possible? So it set me on this journey of really embracing my spiritual nature, even though I came from a very kind of traditional, I would say non-religious officially background. And so my encounter with the angels really activated something inside of me that got me extraordinarily curious and put me in direct contact with the angel world. And so I couldn't deny it, even though I tried to deny it for a while, because as a psychotherapist, when you're talking to angels or you say things like that, people go, "Oh, that's magical thinking. Maybe you need, psychotic medicine for psychosis, or get hospitalized." So that started my journey in learning how to listen to the other voice inside of me, as opposed to the voice that was very intensely tyrannical and tearing me down and keeping me in these little boxes that society set out for me. And as a brown woman, the box that was set for me was pretty small. Pretty small, pretty tiny. So for this book, which is my second book, I wrote it because I had such a profound, one of the ways that miracles started happening for me was not just the awakening of my heart and my spiritual connection, my authentic spiritual connection that had nothing to do with the books, but it was an authentic, heart connection with love. As the miracle started unfolding for myself, and also for the people that I eventually started to serve and teach some of these practices and principles, one of the kinds of miracles that happened were financial miracles. And so So that is really the precipice and the foundation for this book. Money is generally something I didn't like talking about before, but when I was inspired to write this book, it was actually during lockdown and during COVID, and I had to reduce my hours by a certain amount because both my kids were working from home all of a sudden from school, and I'm an entrepreneur and do a lot of work internationally around the world. So all of a sudden I had to reduce my hours, which meant I had to figure out different ways to accommodate our family because I'm, momming all of a sudden faster more than I was.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so I developed a magical practice and worked with traditional magical practices and angel magic practices in order to just kind of see if it would work.
So
and
you were
it did.
experimenting essentially
I
during
was
that time.
experimenting. I
Okay.
took myself into ceremony, took myself into ritual with a specific outcome. And the result was so intense that I realized that for me, I was, because afterwards I did a gratitude ceremony and I was given this incredible gift. And I realized that I was given this gift because I wasn't meant to keep it just to myself. So I wrote a book and I developed a program also to take people through the process that I did to help them kind of navigate and kind of crack the code on what's possible when it comes to wealth attraction.
And do you think that anyone can do this? Because obviously you've developed a connection with your angels. You've been building that all for a while. So would they need to kind of develop that muscle of like being in touch with their angels and like kind of finding a way to actually interpret what they're telling them?
I think any beginner, angel work works for anybody, period.
Okay.
Because my position is that angels have been around before religion. Angels have always been here, ushering and guiding us in a variety of different ways, guiding our ancestors through extraordinarily harsh times. So I feel that you don't have to be a professional angel person, that all of us are professionals, whether we know it or not, because my first miracle happened when I was a non-believer, period. And I was drinking a bunch and doing all kinds of stuff. So I don't believe that you have to have a pristine, righteous, perfect lifestyle in order for this stuff to work. I don't even believe that you have to have official faith in anything. I just think that the way that I approach any kind of spiritual work is through experimentation and practice rather than this deep philosophy that we have to believe in. I just, recommend having an open mind.
Yeah, I think that's the most important, just to be
Yeah.
open and,
Yeah, just try it. Yeah,
just try
yeah.
it. I mean, what have
Yeah,
you got to lose, right?
That's what I mean. You got nothing to lose, only to gain. And the best, the worst thing that can happen is that you might have some extraordinary results, or you might feel a different level of comfort and peace inside of you regarding your financial situation, which to me is, it's not enough for me to be like, hey, everybody, let's make a bunch of money. Let's attract some money. Like my goal is always to help people open up their hearts to the love and the profound support and resources that we have access to that are invisible, but they're there the more that you experiment and you have fun with it.
And Corin, what do you mean by magic in this context? Because I'm sure a lot of people will hear it and be like, that might make them a little skeptical. Because, when you think of magic, you think of like stage magic, right? You think of, abracadabra.
Right, right.
So what do you mean by magic in this context?
Okay, in this context, I think people have a lot of, I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of communities that have, in a way, given magic a bad name, or given even angels a bad name. When people think of angels, they
witchcraft,
think
right? It's
witchcraft. And hey, and here's the thing: the negativity and the tone that people take towards any kind of what they consider magical practice, the reason why they think of it as negative is because of religious colonization. And the fact is that all of our ancestors practiced some level of divination. There's even divination all over the Bible. Okay. It's just all of our ancestors practiced these things. And, uh, and people have a reductionist view of these things, but to be honest, it's magic and people's powerful spiritual connection, authentic spiritual connection, not out of the books, but with engaging life force and nature as it is. Those are the things that got us to even being able to have developed civilization in the first place. It was by talking to plants and talking to beings that were not there, that in all mythologies around the world say that, we learned from other beings how to grow crops and how to build buildings.
Right, animism. Animism, like
exactly.
Shamanism, Mm-hmm.
So religious colonization stripped us of this technology, essentially. So to me, magic is nothing more than a technology designed to help humans not just survive, but to thrive. And you can call it whatever you want, but I'm sorry, prayer is a magical act. That's magic. It's just a matter of how you want to define it. But those separations and those definitions are, from my perspective, absolute false dichotomies impressed upon us by religious colonization.
Okay. And, besides not believing in magic, what are some of the other things that prevent people from attracting wealth and abundance in their life? Because in the book, you mentioned two specific things. You mentioned demons and subconscious blocks. Mm-hmm. So can you please expand on that?
Yes. Okay. So because I talk a lot about angels, I think a lot of people, when I talk about demons, people think I'm going to talk about, the gnarly entities with horns and beards and a trident, trying to, whatever, be all evil. But with the work that I've done for over a decade, and when I look at people on all different levels, I'm looking at people's psychology because I have a psychotherapy background. I'm looking at people spiritually. I'm getting guidance from spirit. And what I found was the biggest demons that block people from breaking the ceiling of their own creation, or really society's own creation, or the system's own creation for them. The biggest demons always start in the head. It starts with whatever we were raised around, whatever we were believed about ourselves. So I find that way more sinister than Satan when it comes to wealth is our own concept, self-concept, and the perception of our own value and what we're capable of, and the really tiny dreams that we set for ourselves, like I used to, as opposed to allowing ourselves to believe that we can have more in life, that we're not just given, this is just how life is. There's a lot of people that think, this is how just life is. And especially spiritual minded folk, there's a lot of healers and people out there doing beautiful work who are highly gifted humans who limit their capacity to really claim their right to be wealthy in work that they love to do and do it more.
Okay, so it's that belief that you can't make money doing certain professions.
You can't make, we were raised in kind of an industrialist society. So if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you're not going to be wealthy. And I found, from
or if you don't go to college.
Exactly. You don't go to college, right? But I found that my degree, my master's degree in psychology, was wonderful. I had a great career. But when I started listening to my heart and started doing things a little differently, started following a different kind of guidance and taking those leaps of ridiculous faith and being willing to put my pride aside for a second and tell the truth of my experience and share this love and experience with others, it made my income multiply by 10 compared to the average therapist. And so it is important for us to know that we can And if for me, the biggest wealth comes from when you're following your heart, when you're mission oriented, and when you're not just looking for cash, but you're looking to make an impact,
Yeah.
a beautiful impact in the world. And that's what I represent. The angels inspired me to write this book for truly for heart-centered people who feel limited in their capacity to really claim their value in the world. Because let's be frank, a lot of the people who are making all the cash are not always the ones that have a heart. And I want people with hearts, with a real drive to make the world a better place, to have more economic power, because that's how we're going to make the change in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you say in the book. You say you believe that heart-centered people should be wealthy because of the
Yes.
kind of work that they're doing and the good that they're doing in society.
Yes, and we can't. One of the biggest devils inside of us is the shame for wanting more, and for is us feeling greedy if we ask for more wealth and want to be. I want to be a millionaire. A lot of good people have shame around that. Am I allowed to be wealthy and work for spirit and at the same time? And let me tell you, for me, I had to learn it took me a while to figure it out. And by trusting my spirit team, and what they showed me was the more income that comes in is truly a reflection of how many lives I'm having an impact on. It's
Yeah.
not, it's not for no good reason. It's because things have gone international, you know, and
Right. It's an energy exchange. So, and
it's an energy exchange. And just like doctors can claim, and I tell people, especially the people and the business owners that I coach, that are really trying to kind of open their mind to what's possible for them. Um, and they, a lot of the programming around that is like, I feel guilty for charging for God's work, or that, and I'm
yeah,
like, you're not charging for God's work. You're charging for your time, the way that doctors do, the way that everyone
the
else
way
does,
that lawyers do,
the way
Yeah.
that everyone else does. Why
Yeah.
not you again? Why not you? And that, again, that's old religious programming. And
Yeah.
we live in modern society. Unfortunately, the system is not our fault. The system that we were born into, this capitalist system, is not our fault. And until we shift the system, we have to own the reality of it takes cash to pay our bills.
Right.
And it also takes cash to make the bigger impact and to fund those charities, to fund the people in the world,
And our
like
education
on the front
too.
lines, and
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
education, to stay
Yeah.
educated, to keep our kids educated,
Yeah.
and to really promote agendas that impact the world in a positive way.
Right. Yeah. I love that. And how do angels help us with this process, Corinne? Because you say that angels can facilitate the wealth creation process. So, how do they do it?
Yeah, well, they do it in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
But the first way they do, first, they can't really totally intervene unless we learn how to powerfully ask for their help, which is why I help people create ritual out of it and like kind of remember their natural way, because all of us and all of our ancestors have always done a ritual for
Yeah.
on behalf of things, always.
And this would
Always.
happen after we work on our beliefs, right? Because we need to like clear that channel before,
Yeah, I mean, you can
right?
do it beforehand, but in the
Oh, you
book,
can. Okay.
yeah, you can do it beforehand, but in the book, I set people up for the max success. So I want them to look at what beliefs are you still carrying that was kind of BS that you inherited from your family's beliefs,
And your culture
or
too, right? Because
or
you
your
said your
culture.
culture impacted
Yes.
you.
Whatever
Yeah.
your culture told
Yeah.
you about rich people or whatever, because a lot of us who didn't grow up with money have judgment about rich people, which
Yeah. Rich
naturally
people are
propels us.
evil. Yeah, that's a big
Exactly.
one.
Money
Yeah.
is evil, rich people are
Money
evil,
is
all of
evil.
that
Yeah.
stuff. All of that stuff impacts us unconsciously or consciously, depending. So that's why we find a lot of us find ourselves running in the same place over and over again, because there's this unconscious fear about about um, about what happens if you actually have all the cash and more. Are people going to try and steal it from me? Is my family going to expect me to give them the? I mean, there's all kinds of compelling reasons why we keep ourselves in place. So in the book, I make sure to address some of those main things and main themes that I found over the years. And angels can help you shift those beliefs. But in addition to those, I also give just a wealth ritual so that we, in a way, kill all the birds in one place. If you're rocking the negative belief systems, here's how to work with the angels to help you with that. And then also, if you want to get into a deep ceremony and do a traditional style, simple practice, simple ritual, it's an 11-day ritual in there with different angels that people have historically called on to open up capacities for wealth, success, more confidence, things like that. So angels essentially help activate those energies inside of us, help open up doorways that we've accidentally locked down, not for any old reason. We did it unconsciously, but it's time for us to really wake up to our capacity, and that we are not always limited by whatever the frick social systems have taught us about ourselves. I just want to say women have been indoctrinated to believe that we are kind of like the lesser species, but the more that women have cash in our hands, women are more likely to share that wealth. That's a statistic that's true. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because women are givers, essentially, right? We're built for that. We're more compassionate. I mean, in general. In
In
general.
general, not all of them, depending on their indoctrination, right?
Depending on the indoctrination. Yeah.
The indoctrination, but most women can see a higher perspective and do what's best for community rather than self. And this is why more women need to kind of step up and gain economic power as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what are your tips for those who want to improve their relationship with money, besides, working on their limiting beliefs about money and getting rid of those subconscious blocks? What can they do to really improve that, the way they look at money and how they spend money? How can they begin to do that?
I think the number one thing is to just address that if you have a lot of fear about money, if just even the word money, the topic of money makes you a little anxious, there's some work right there. Mm-hmm. And to do your best to, I would say, start with educating yourself about money, reading books from people who went from rags to riches, understanding how people can do it, and realize they're not special. People who are millionaires, there's nothing special about them. It's just that they believed in their dream and they did something about it, or they just had it handed down to them for generations and generations, right? But those aren't the people who are going to want this book. The people who want this book are the ones who are wanting to hack the system. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing is to really look at, as opposed to run away from, your finances, and to see what's going on and know that you have all the tools necessary to turn any financial situation around from the ground up. But I would say the first thing is if you're afraid of cash, if it makes you nervous, that repels cash. Because money is energy, and money wants to support all of us, as life does. Because to me, money is just an expression of love, an expression of life. But we've put so much attachment to it and meaning to it, rather than just seeing it like fruits on a tree. When you walk by an orange tree and it's abundant, you don't judge the tree for having, oranges. You don't run from the oranges, right? So to me, the dollar is like that. But we have been had so much financial abuse from the system, and maybe we grew up in really harsh conditions or there's people who grew up around too much money, and that in itself was toxic for their own soul, to have a healthy relationship and respectful and honorable relationship with that resource.
And would you also say, like, learning money management skills and just developing certain professional skills? I mean, that goes without saying, right?
Yes, exactly. So So I think it's just addressing, looking at where you're limiting yourself with your capacity. And if you have not stated, I want to make $1 million, to start there, hey, I want to. And then spirits work. It's like, oh, you want to learn how to make $1 million. Then your task is to start listening to the inspiration. You call in the angels, you call in, do ceremony, do ritual around it. Again, this is old stuff. Okay. It's only in the last couple 100 years that people forgot how to work their magic, literally, how to work with miracles. And to me, magic and miracles, it's the same thing. It just depends on what side of colonization you're standing on. So and I love miracles. I love it all. I love.
Is it based on the law of attraction?
Well, what do you mean by that? Based on the law of attraction?
I mean, is it the same kind of phenomenon? Like think about what you want, and then kind of. I mean, you've heard about The Secret, right? About the
yeah.
So is it based on that, the magic that you're talking about?
Okay. I think what differentiates some of the work that I do is that I acknowledge the animism of life, right? The animism of the tree, of the flower. And so the way that I work with spirit is that I work with spirit. I don't believe that I am the center. Okay. I believe to be in relationship with spirit, be in relationship with the divine, because the divine will dream something bigger for you than just what your little wants and desires are. Just my life is a living expression of that. So it's me. I really cherish and value the aliveness of nature and the aliveness of the benevolent beings and forces that move through us. So I just think it's more fun. It's more fun, and it's extremely potent when you accept yourself as someone. As something I want to say about our dreams, and maybe if we want cash, is that I've realized for me, and I believe I may even say this in the book, I'm not sure, that sometimes our dreams are not our dreams. It's the divine trying to dream through you as a vessel.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because I thought I was being weird or selfish when I started transitioning my career from being psychotherapist to being kind of going more international and speaking on angels. It's a very awkward transition. Yeah. But I kept getting this nudge, and I was like, is this just this weird, like narcissistic thing? Because I didn't even like taking pictures of myself. So I knew, like, what I didn't realize, that I was dreaming for the thousands of people that spirit was trying to connect with through me. Does that make sense?
It does. And I remember listening to an interview of Deepak Chopra, and he said that if you have a dream, or if you can conceive a dream, the seed of potential is in that. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have it, Yes. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, yes. Like, like I had a breakthrough. And I think you're pretty much saying the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's when we realize that our dreams could be so much bigger than just our little dreams, because the people that I have that email me and say, thank you so much, because I had this experience, or this book has helped me for so much, or opened my eyes. So many atheists, right? Or people who don't believe in anything. The way that my approach is like, it's very non-religious. It's, you don't have to believe, just try some shit. See if it works out. Yes. But the level of feedback that I get, that I've gotten over the last many years, Spirit showed me, those dreams back then, they were never your dreams to begin with. Okay. Yes. That was our dream, dreaming through you, so that we can,
like a co-creative process.
Yes. And it's all of our obligation, in a way, to take our dreams, from my perspective, more seriously. No, don't think of them as impossible or impractical, or, because it's literally an insane choice to shift from being a classical therapist, which my life was set up already, okay, to talking about angels, to talking about spirit, which that back then was not as prominent as it is now, okay? So this is back when hardly anybody was talking about this stuff. Now it's like infused in business coaching and everything. Back then, it was a real risk. And so, looking at that, and realizing if any of us have this wild dream and we don't think it's possible, all you got to do is Google, take some classes, get educated on how to make it happen, and spirit
Right.
will give you the resources will come.
How do you keep your faith along the way? Because, sometimes when you're chasing dreams, you run into
Yeah.
obstacles. You fail sometimes. So how did you keep the faith and, stick with that dream that you had, that you envisioned for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely treacherous when you start making your own dreams happen as opposed to helping other people, build their dreams, which is,
Hmm.
what we do in a lot of jobs and careers. When you start making your own dreams happen, it is a ride. It's like, yeah, first you get this inspiration and then you hit this roadblock and you're like, maybe it's not the right thing. So, um, it's always good to have community of people who understand or who are maybe on the same path or doing something similar, like taking big risks to help coach you out. So getting a business mentor, a coach. But to me, it was like, I want to be honest with you. I never had faith in the beginning of the dream itself. I felt like the whole thing was going to fail miserably. Okay. And before I launch everything, I still have an excessive amount of doubt. I still try and talk myself down from the ledge. So it is, cultivating an attitude. I know a lot of people are like, I'm very opposite from a lot of things people say out there, like fake it till you make it and just think positive. I don't think that's a requirement. I think what's required is having a serious set of balls, lady balls, man balls, business balls, and just really going like, okay, if it fails, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Because it's probably going to fail. And then, oh, okay, so this is going to happen. Maybe my pride's going to take a hit. I'm going to lose 10 grand. Okay, BFD. Okay, at least I tried. At
Yeah.
least I
And you're
tried.
at peace, right? And you get a lesson. It's a learning
You,
experience.
you
You know
get a
what
lesson.
doesn't work.
Exactly. So there was,
Yeah.
I would say it was like 80% negative in the beginning. And then 20% of, I got to listen to that stuff, the softer voice. There was something that compelled me that no matter what, I'm going to finish this thing no matter what. And that was my first angel offering. I'm going to finish it no matter what. And if nobody wants it, fine. And so guess what happened? That very first offering that I did, that was more angel based. That was that was a bigger kind of leap of faith. It was my first 6-month intuitive healing training as a psychotherapist. Okay. So my first intuitive healing training, I was, 1,000,000%. Okay. Probably 98%. It was going to fail. No one was going to sign up. So I sent an email, and then within 3 days, I tripled my annual income.
Wow.
Yes. And so that was my first financial miracle. That was just the first one. There's been many since then. So I'm just saying, like, don't fake it till you make it. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in it. But if you lose interest, if you're backing away from the ledge because you're scared, you're terrorized. I was freaking terrorized to send that email. That is the moment where you push through no matter what. You get the lady balls or the man balls out, your business balls, you get them out, and balls to the wall. You do it anyways. Egg on your face. Fine. You probably survived worse in life than offering something beautiful to the world and it not working out, it not making any cash the first time.
Right. And how did you know that it was the right thing to do? Because sometimes it can be hard to differentiate between our fear and
Yeah.
our intuitive hunches. So
Yes.
how are you able to differentiate between both those feelings?
Okay. So for me, I don't go on differentiating. I just go on, wouldn't it be fun if, okay. So
Okay.
if it sounds like fun and juicy to a part of your heart, yet you are terrorized, go in that direction, no matter
Got it. So
what.
you feel in your heart space, right?
Yeah. If it sounds like fun. Okay. So this is when I decided to create my first kind of a business offering that was unlike anything I'd ever seen before or unlike anybody I saw anyone else doing. Okay. So I decided to create something fresh out of with the angels. I co-created something. And it wasn't about, this really serious, clear your subconscious beliefs. It was like more like, hey, you want to party and learn about the angels, okay? So I thought it was going to fail because of that, because I have, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on this education, and here I am. But the thing is that thing sounded like the most fun and the thing that I wanted people to like have fun with, because like me, I didn't know angels were real. So I was like, hey, people need to know, so they should just try it and see what happens. And so it was because I was excited and it was fun. So I went in that direction. I was still terrorized, but I went in that direction. And that is the energy that kind of pushed me through even the low times. And I had a serious regression. My habits came back. My bad habits came back right before I was going to send that first email. So like all of a sudden I was drinking a lot again. So I just want to say the demons will come out and play with you right before the big success. Yeah. So I would say, do not expect it to be like this easy coasting, like, oh, this is the right thing. You're going to get your trial. You're going to get you're going to get.
I love that you say that. That is so true.
You're going to get your beat up around along the way. Well, I'm here to like present a really honest framework, because there's a lot of spiritual bypassing going on. And the fact, and the fact I'm
rainbows and unicorns.
I'm not into that shit. I'm not. I'm into reality, because I want people to actually make it and to see the demons for what they are and to move forward and anyways, not even fearlessly, move forward in full terror, but do it anyways.
Yeah. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. So to me, I believe in the path of joy. So if you're going to choose something, do it because it makes you happy. It makes you giggle, and it may be so weird, but do it because it just feels good. You're still going to go through shit in order to get there, but you might as well like have fun while you're getting raked over the coals through your own, through your own trials. Yes. Yeah. Have a sense of humor and be willing to just duke it out. You got to be a little scrappy to make some stuff happen in the world. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I started this podcast, I was terrified too.
Right?
Yeah. And I still did it anyway. I'm like an introvert. So for me like to do this was like, my God, like everyone on the planet can see this, I'm like putting these videos out there, but I still did it because I felt called to do it. I'm like, I have to build this platform. Yeah.
Yes. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. Because that's what we're looking for. And that's why I'm, for me, like the book was important, and why I kind of like womaned up to even be visual, because I hate taking pictures of myself. I used to really hate public speaking. I'm an introvert too. Like in a group of
people,
tell. I'm exactly. Yeah. I didn't know either is the thing. We think that we know who we are, but we don't, because we're still in this little box of, oh, I don't think I can, as opposed to just, you don't even need faith in the beginning. Just do what sounds fun. And I feel like that's why so many introverts are being called into bigger work and to taking these risks. And we're here to support each other through it. Because if all the narcissists still take up all the oxygen in the room, then what?
Yeah.
It's got to be the ones that
we'd be in trouble.
We are in trouble. And this is why we're letting the narcissistic power mongering folk rule the world, as opposed to the lovers, the caretakers, the compassionate ones, the bridge builders, as opposed to the wall makers. The bridge builders need to take over. And we do this economically and by getting over our little small sense of self. That's bullshit. That's indoctrination. And owning and claiming our right to be the authority that we actually are.
Your book helps with that, right? It really helps you get out of that limited thinking.
Yes. I had to put that in there because, like, look, we're going to do this powerful ritual. You're going to attract cash. Yes. But let's talk about something first. Before we do that, we have to get real with ourselves, and please dream bigger.
Dream bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a wonderful note for us to end this conversation.
Yes.
Corin, I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom here with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Celine. It's so fun to talk about this stuff. It really is.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because, I wouldn't think that angels and wealth go hand in hand, but this is where they brought me to start talking about this stuff more openly. And for me to move past my own kind of terror of talking about money, because I would never think that I would be, I had no interest for most of my
Yeah.
life.
And I'm so glad you did it. Yeah. Because you're
Yeah,
creating a
yeah,
paradigm shift here by talking about this.
right. Oh, you
Yeah.
think so? I
I
hope
think
so.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And for everyone who wants to get a hold of your book, Angel Wealth Magic, so it'll be available wherever books are sold, and also on Corin's website, CorinGrillo.com. All
Yes.
right. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, Corin, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Celine.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.